Ralph Robinson examines that question and talks with one AIDS victim right here in Des Moines. And where do Des Moines' troubled teens go for help? A new shelter is opening for them. John Stone brings us that report. All this and more coming up tonight at 6, right after the NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Mike Deaver heads off an indictment temporarily. We have some details on the Tower Commission, and NBC News has fresh information tonight on 4 hostages.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. There are so many special prosecutors at work in Washington, you need a scorecard just to keep track. One of them has been investigating former presidential advisor Michael Deaver, accused of lying about his lobbying activities after he left the White House. The special prosecutor in his case, the official title is independent counsel, was seeking to indict Deaver today for perjury, but that indictment was blocked at least temporarily. NBC's Bob Kerr now explains why.
Deaver left home this morning aware that the independent counsel would seek an indictment. Deaver had rejected an offer to plea bargain.
Are you going to make a deal with the special prosecutor?
Make a deal?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so. I made a deal in my life.
A few hours later, Deaver's lawyer, Herbert Miller, was in court making a dramatic last-minute attempt to stop the indictment. He argued that the 1978 law creating the position of independent counsel is unconstitutional, that only presidential appointees may prosecute federal crimes. Independent counsel Whitney North Seymour was appointed by judges, not the president. Seymour pointed out that it was Deaver who requested an independent counsel, saying it would clear his name. Seymour accused Deaver of playing games, trying to stop the process because it wasn't going his way. But Judge Thomas Jackson said Deaver's attorney had raised serious questions about the law, so Jackson temporarily prohibited the indictment. In a similar challenge just yesterday, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North sued to stop the independent counsel in the Iran-Contra affair. Former Attorney General William French Smith is among several experts who consider the law flawed.
I thought that it was probably unconstitutional, as violating the doctrine of separation of powers. I still feel that way.
A Washington attorney who helped write the Ethics in Government Act says the implications of today's decision in the Deaver case are far-reaching.
No fewer than 4 present special prosecutor independent counsel cases would be threatened, number one. And number two, would mean that the work of this grand jury might be tainted so that it would have to start again.
Deaver would not comment today on what his lawyer said was to be a 5-count indictment charging him with perjury and violating the Ethics in Government Act in his work as a highly paid lobbyist. After leaving the White House, he represented foreign governments and got into trouble because of laws prohibiting former officials from lobbying their old agencies. A year ago, he was on the cover of Time, the picture of success. But during the 9-month investigation, his business has suffered.
Well, it's something I hope nobody has to go through. It's certainly not pleasant, but it's one of those things in life that you have to face and deal with, and I've tried to do that as best I can.
Independent counsel Seymour must now decide whether to appeal or wait 2 weeks and try to persuade the same judge to let the Deaver prosecution go forward. Bob Kerr, NBC News, Washington.
And NBC News correspondent Tom Pettit can report tonight that when the Tower Commission report comes out tomorrow morning, it will likely clear the president of any wrongdoing, but it will say that the president misled Congress and the American people. The report will not reach any conclusions about whether the Iran deal was an arms for hostage arrangement. It was, according to the Tower Commission report, many things to many people. At the White House, the president and his advisors now are preparing for tomorrow's release of the Tower Commission report on the Iran-Contra affair, and it is expected to be very harsh, tough on the president and most of, if not all, the principal figures in the secret arms sale. As NBC's Chris Wallace reports tonight, it turns out the president has given the commission still another version of his role.
The president gave his latest account to the Tower Commission last Friday, saying in a letter he honestly had no recollection of whether he authorized Israeli shipments to Iran, and may have allowed myself to be influenced by the recollection of others. White House sources tell NBC News Mr. Reagan wrote the letter because he felt Chief of Staff Reagan and others manipulated him to change his testimony. Meeting with the commission on January 26, the president, while vague, indicated he approved Israeli shipments to Iran in advance. But on February 11th, Mr. Reagan said he now believed he did not approve the shipments. That was also Reagan's version in his testimony. Between the two meetings, the Chief of Staff and other aides met with the President, according to one, to stimulate his recollection. Officials say the First Lady was furious about Reagan's role, and after stories of the conflicting testimony came out, the President wrote his letter saying he can't remember. Today, leading Democrats expressed amazement.
Well, the President can't seem to keep his tail straight.
Why not?
Well, he doesn't remember what he said and when he said it.
When he's had a categorical policy not to deal on the hostage takers, not to deal with terrorism and terrorists, and he'd violated his own policy. I don't see how he could forget it.
Tomorrow, the Tower Commission will issue what is expected to be a highly critical report, stating the President failed to keep a firm hand on his foreign policy, failing to control Oliver North and John Poindexter. But White House spokesman Marlin Fitzwater maintained the President has acted entirely appropriately throughout the whole affair. Mr. Reagan will stay at the White House this weekend, meeting with top advisors on how to pull his presidency out of the arms scandal. But it appears one key decision has already been made. A top Republican source says the President and Chief of Staff have agreed. Reagan will be leaving within days. Chris Wallace, NBC News, at the White House.
And NBC News has learned that 3 American hostages seized in Beirut after the scandal broke now are in the hands of the Syrian army, which has taken control of many neighborhoods in that embattled city. The 3 Americans and an Indian citizen were grabbed a month ago. As NBC's Art Kent reports now, it appears they could be released before too long.
Middle East and Western intelligence sources say that at least 4 of the 26 foreign hostages being held in Lebanon are now in the custody of Syrian army intelligence in Beirut. The 4 are Americans Robert Polhill, Jesse Turner, and Alan Steen, and Miltashar Singh, an Indian citizen. The 4 are professors seized from the Beirut University College campus January 24th. A group calling itself the Islamic Jihad for the Liberation of Palestine claimed responsibility. But intelligence sources tell NBC News that while it is unclear exactly who did kidnap the professors, they never were in the control of Hezbollah, the radical Islamic fundamentalist group with close ties to Iran and believed responsible for taking many of the hostages in Beirut. The sources say that when it became known Syrian troops were going to move into Beirut in force, the 4 hostages were turned over to this man, Colonel Amir Taleh, a senior Syrian intelligence officer. In fact, according to the sources, the 4 were turned over to the Syrians to keep them out of Hezbollah hands. 23 Hezbollah fighters were buried in an emotional funeral in Beirut today. They were killed by Syrian soldiers who've been cracking down on Beirut's armed militias since Sunday. Although Syrian troops in the Hezbollah are continuing to fight, intelligence sources say the Syrians are trying to figure out a way to release the 4 hostages without offending Hezbollah or its Iranian backers. For now, the Syrians are denying they hold the 4 professors. Art Kent, NBC News, Washington.
Also coming up here tonight on NBC Nightly News, Robert Hager on the sudden stardom of Fawn Hall, Oliver North's secretary, who has become a key figure in the Iran scandal. And George Lewis tonight on the compact disc revolution in recorded music. Will it kill off the long-playing record?
When Mazda asked me if I'd like to take some hot laps in one of their RX-7 race cars, they didn't have to ask twice. Whew, I'm telling you, nothing pours out power as smoothly as a rotary engine. It makes for a great race car and a great sports car. This RX-7 also has one of the most advanced suspension systems in the world. It loves to be driven hard. Check it out. But don't blame me if you start hating what you're driving now.
Want to take it out again, Mr. Garner?
Like I said, you don't have to ask me twice.
This is dedicated to the ones we love.
You know what your problem is, Eric?
Alice?
You're 43 years old, and you still eat cold pizza and donuts for breakfast.
So that's it.
All that sugar, all those preservatives.
Hold it. Should I try Nutri-Grain?
Yeah.
Delicious Nutri-Grain. Only the whole grain with no preservatives and no sugar added.
Goodbye.
Oh, wait. Does this mean you love me?
Yes.
Kellogg's Nutri-Grain cereal.
Dedicated to the ones we love.
Next time, get a Haworth furniture system. They're built. Next time, get a Haworth furniture system. They're built. Next time, get a Haworth furniture system. They're built.
At the U.S. Supreme Court today, a historic ruling affirming affirmative action. By a ruling of 5-4, the justices ruled that the court-ordered plan requiring Alabama to promote equal numbers of black and white state troopers is constitutional. As NBC's law correspondent Carl Stern reports tonight, this was a defeat for the Reagan administration.
25% of the Alabama Highway Patrol is black now after a lawsuit 15 years ago resulted in the hiring of the first black patrolman. But few blacks have advanced to supervisory jobs, so a federal judge ordered that one black be promoted for every white until 25% of the supervisors were black. The Reagan administration opposed the plan, calling it a quota that discriminated against whites. Law enforcement officials were divided about the plan.
Even the guys that I had taught here in recruit school, when I was a veteran trooper, got promoted ahead of me. That hurt.
I feel very strongly that was a necessary step.
Sure, it hurts the white troop. It hurts your morale.
Today, the Supreme Court upheld the plan. For the first time, it said a court-ordered promotion plan is constitutional.
The ruling boils down to this. If past discrimination justifies racial preferences in hiring, then it also justifies racial preferences in promotions.
William Brennan wrote the opinion for the majority. He said the 50-50 quota was a temporary and necessary device for catching up. Sandra Day O'Connor led 4 dissenters who said giving half the promotions to blacks was excessive. In Alabama, Governor Guy Hunt accepted the ruling.
A Supreme Court ruling, all you do is follow it.
Civil rights lawyers called the victory closer than they had wished.
There's no doubt, as the 5-4 split makes clear, that the court, just like society as a whole, is deeply split on this issue.
As of now, about 8% of Alabama State Police supervisors are black. Today's ruling removes the last barrier to speeding up promotions. Carl Stern, NBC News at the Supreme Court.
The football team of Southern Methodist University, SMU, was hit today with the biggest penalty in the history of college football, what some are calling tonight the death penalty. The NCAA canceled the team's entire 1987 season for what it called major violations, including cash payments to players. More tonight from NBC's Jane Peterson.
Officials at SMU were shocked by the announcement. They had hoped for a lighter penalty, but said they wouldn't fight the decision.
We wanted to discover and report the problems within our football program, regardless of the consequences of those disclosures.
SMU's football team, the Mustangs, has been on probation 5 times in the past 12 years because of recruiting violations. What triggered the latest sanctions by the NCAA was evidence that alumni boosters paid thousands of dollars to get players on the team. Today, some players considered leaving the university.
The only thing I can do right now is just kind of, wait and see, and try to make a good decision is what I'm going to do.
SMU remains on probation until 1990, with football scholarships and the recruiting budget severely cut back. Following the 1-year death penalty, the NCAA limited SMU to only 7 games in 1988, none of them at home. That means a large financial loss for the university, a loss some observers believe will send a clear signal to other college teams.
Now this school is going to pay multi-million dollars as a result of its sins that reflect everything that's been happening in other universities around the country. I think it's going to begin to stop the chain.
SMU officials want to rebuild their football team, but they fear rebuilding the school's reputation will be more difficult. Jane Peterson, NBC News.
In the stormy North Atlantic today, more than 1,000 miles east of New York, an attempt to rescue the crew of a disabled Philippine fishing boat ended in tragedy. Before the fishing boat capsized in the storm, surviving crewmen escaped in a life raft. But that raft also capsized, throwing them into the icy water. An Israeli freighter tried to rescue the 19. One crewman was saved by a U.S. submarine. The Israeli effort fell short. The other 18 crewmen drowned.
Sink's clogged.
What'll we do?
Get the all-purpose drain opener, Crystal Drano. Works on hair, food, and grease. Liquid plumber may not work on some clogs.
Wow.
There's also liquid Drano. Remember, the one name to know is Drano.
Extra strength Bufferin for Steve's backache, Kim's legs, John's shoulder, Debbie's headache. It goes to where you hurt fast with an extra strength dose of pain relief for for headaches and a lot more. Extra strength Bufferin, also in regular strength.
Tower Color Tile 1, come in, Tower.
Turn back now. There's a chance of heavy showers.
Negative, Tower. I've got this delivery for Color Tile's big half-price sale.
Can't give you clearance to land.
No problem. Store's in sight. We'll drop in from here. Geronimo! Half-price paint and wall covering. Half-price mosaic tile. Half-price ceramic wall and floor tile. Drop in now. Color Tile's big half-price sale good through Sunday.
Mazda wanted me to tell you about their brand new 4x4, but I'd rather show you. I hammered this truck for days to see for myself just how good it really is. Bottom line, best 4x4 I've ever driven, period. Another real surprise was that Mazda's loaded up SE5 4x4 is priced close to the other guy's stripped down 4x4s. Now, if you ask me, that's worth jumping about.
An important new study out tonight indicates that manic depression can have a genetic cause. It can be passed on from parent to child. This disease is characterized by cycles of despondency followed by agitation. It's common. It affects about 1 out of every 100 Americans. As NBC News science correspondent Robert Bazell reports now, the new finding could have profound implications for the treatment of all mental illness.
The study was carried out among the Amish. It found that manic depressive illness can be inherited, just like brown eyes. The Amish have no more psychiatric problems than other Americans, but their large extended families and well-understood genealogy make studies of inheritance easier. Today's finding is likely to revolutionize attitudes about mental illness.
I think we have a chance to really get to the causes of many different forms of psychiatric illness. And for the first time, we're at the starting point of a search that we have a very good feeling will lead to really basic understanding.
Dr. Hausman and his colleagues at MIT used the most sophisticated techniques of molecular biology to find a specific gene that is responsible for manic depression. The gene is located at the tip of chromosome number 11, near the gene that controls insulin production, and a gene involved in certain types of cancer. For more than 25 years, Dr. Janice Iglin has been studying psychiatric illness in Amish families. She took blood samples which were stored at this New Jersey laboratory and were later used for the genetic analysis. Other studies published today indicate that this gene is not the only cause of manic depression, but the discovery of the gene leaves no doubt that mental illness can be caused by specific physical conditions, that it is not solely the result of one's upbringing. The Amish, according to Dr. Iglin, have always understood that.
When I first discussed mental illness with them in the 1960s and asked them what they thought, they said to me, cis im blut, it's in the blood.
The next step in the laboratory research is to learn exactly how the gene works. That should help develop more effective treatments for manic depression. Robert Bazell, NBC News, Boston.
A Soviet newspaper said today that health officials in that country are planning a program to combat AIDS. It will include a telephone hotline, medical examinations, and pamphlets on AIDS. A health official was quoted as saying that there were 13 known cases in the Soviet Union, almost all of them involving foreigners.
Hey, I don't worry about getting the dentures coming loose blues.
Fixodent and forget it. Fixodent helps fix loose spots for a strong hold that lasts longer than any leading cream. Use Fixodent and forget it.
What was that?
The boogeyman from the Black Lagoon.
There's something out there.
Don't worry, as long as the lights are on, we're fine.
What do we do now?
Run for your life!
It's time to change your light bulb. Philips Longer Life Square bulbs last 33% longer than ordinary round bulbs.
Patient, dining table. Diagnosis, worn finish, no shine. Treatment, facelift.
Now there's a facelift for furniture. New Formby's facelift, my secret for bringing dull furniture back to life. Facelift revives the shine without refinishing. In less than an hour, you can smooth away the wear and tear and lay down a bright new facelift finish that will shine for years to come. That's what Formby's facelift is all about. Making your furniture look alive and beautiful again without major surgery.
Ford announces a new 6-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty on all new 1987 Ford cars and light trucks. Our value is better than ever. Ford, the best-built American cars and trucks 6 years running.
Mayor Harold Washington of Chicago looked ahead to the April general election today after winning an impressive victory in yesterday's Democratic primary. Washington received 53% of the vote against former Mayor Jane Byrne. John Chancellor's commentary tonight is about politics, money, and politics. And it comes to us from Washington. John?
Topic A here in Washington, of course, is the Iran-Contra scandal. There's been so much interest in the White House problems that people have almost stopped talking about Topic B. But Topic B is going to be with us for a while, and it's worth thinking about. Topic B is money. The money politicians need to run their campaigns. Since the 1976 elections, the cost of running for the House or the Senate has quadrupled. There is hardly a politician in this town who isn't fed up with having to beg, wheedle, and whine for campaign contributions, and it's hard to blame them. The fundraising never stops. A freshman senator from a big state has to raise $125,000 a month, every month for his whole 6-year term. That's the only way to build up a $9 million campaign chest for the next election. It's embarrassing and demeaning, but nearly all of them are out hustling for money all the time. So it's likely that they're going to change the rules on campaign financing. And where will some of the money come from? Surprise, they'll get it from the taxpayers. The old idea of public financing for congressional campaigns is with us again. The PACs, the Special Interest Political Action Committees, will fight public financing because it diminishes their influence. The PACs gave $46 million just to Senate candidates last year, and they'll spend a lot fighting this. But public financing for congressional campaigns is an idea whose time seems to have come, mainly because the politicians are sick to death of spending half their time with their hands out begging for money, which is commentary for this evening.
Thanks, John. Many people in the music industry think that history will be made tomorrow. That's the day that the first CDs, those are compact discs, with music by the Beatles will be released. CDs are the new technology of sound. And as NBC's George Lewis reports, they may change forever the way we collect music.
Rock and roll has got to go. And go it does at KWK.
Rock and roll did not go. But what may be on its way out are all those stacks of vinyl records.
So let's whip out the Beatles compact discs and see how good that sounds. Here's Hard Day's Night on the CD from 95.5 KLOS.
Sounds from the 60s, redone with 80s technology. The Beatles turned into bits and bytes of computer code. The code read out by laser beams and turned back into music. Music which sounds a lot better than those old records. Most die-hard Beatles fans have played the records to death. So by now, the vinyl is well gouged, full of clicks, scratches, and pops. Not so with the compact disc. Here, the sound is absolutely clean. And since there's no needle touching the disc, it doesn't wear out. The Beatles will sound this way forever. On a hill. Stores stocking up with the first Beatles CDs were predicting a stampede of buyers when sales begin tomorrow. At Tower Records, a chain which accounts for about 3% of the recorded music sold in this country, they're saying the old vinyl long-playing record will be obsolete within a decade.
I certainly wouldn't want to be in the business of making turntables right now. Hit play.
There's a booming market for compact disc players. Americans bought 2 million of them last year, a 10-fold increase since 1984.
But this is just like wide open sound. It sounds great.
So, better sound for the listeners and better profits for the record companies. The markup on compact discs is double that of records. As for your present collection of records, experts say don't throw them away just yet. They could be collector's items someday. George Lewis, NBC News, Hollywood.
Do you know someone who's feeling a little down? Send them an FTD pick-me-up bouquet. Its flowers, rainbow coffee mug, and tote bag are the perfect way to get them feeling back on solid ground again. And only your FTD florist has it.
In the morning, in the evening, ain't we got fun? You know
when you take a Carnival cruise, all your shipboard fun is included in the price. All your nighttime entertainment's included. All your food's included, too. Plus, fantastic tropical ports of call. And you know what all this costs? A lot less than you think. Even your airfare's included. Take a 3-, 4-, or 7-day cruise on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
I'm Brian Gumble. Tomorrow morning on Today, Congress's view of the B-1 bomber problems.
I'm Jane Pauley, also Jeff Goldblum and Leah Thompson.
Join us tomorrow morning on Today.
When you need something printed, you have many places to choose from.
We are forms. We are forms. Those aren't forms.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. Can't do that.
Yeah, we can do 2 colors, black and white. Ah!
If people only knew all the things Pip Printing can do, they'd save themselves a lot of trouble. Pip can do it.
Aren't you going to say anything about this Pontiac 6000?
Oh, you mean about how well it handles, how quick it is, how it's one fine road car?
Well, yeah.
Come on, if I said all that, we'd sound like a car commercial.
We feel excited.
The singers will do that.
Pontiac!
There was still more interest today in Fawn Hall, Oliver North's beautiful blonde secretary, who has been granted immunity for cooperating with investigators about her role in shredding and altering documents at the White House. Her appearance this week gave the scandal about the only thing that it's been missing, sex appeal. As NBC's Robert Hager reports tonight, a star is born.
Fawn Hall, Annandale, Virginia High School, class of 1977. A nice girl, an employee there remembers. Later, part-time model, last year displaying a gown on Washington WTTG TV's Panorama. All the while pursuing a full-time career as a secretary, first for the Navy, then for Oliver North. Kate Dickey, a friend.
Fawn's job, she was at the vortex of American foreign policy. Things were going on there every day that changed history.
Now, suddenly, she's the front-page story in USA Today. Not once, but twice. In a full-page spread in the Washington Post, in the London Daily Mail, and the Telegraph as well. And last night on NBC, CBS, and ABC, all 3. And today, the telephones were ringing.
We really don't have any shots here. She has all of her shots in her portfolio for clients.
Tricia Erickson runs the modeling agency, which still handles Hall.
I'm getting messages from all over the United States, Paris, London. I know her attorney has gotten several offers. I have gotten several offers for books. They want to write books. All the magazines, of course, want to do articles on her.
She's attractive. She's blonde. She seems very naive. She seems overwhelmed. She doesn't.
Book agent Bill Adler thinks Hall's introduction to the drama adds a perfect new dimension.
I can't think of an incident that has, including Watergate, that has the same commercial potential as the Iran story. And I think by the time it's over, there'll be at least a half a dozen very successful books.
Friends swear Fawn Hall is interested in none of this just now. She ducked the cameras today, but with Congress and even Hollywood pressing, few were betting she'd be out of the limelight long. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
That's nightly news for this Thursday night. I'm Tom Brokaw, and tomorrow I'll be in Washington for extensive NBC News coverage of the Tower Commission report, beginning with the release of that report mid-morning. I'll see you then.
Tonight on the Tortellis.
Somebody order a legend?
Is this Nick's ticket to the big time?
Guess what he does?
Are you in Mickey's bowling team?
The Tortellis. Then, on St. Elsewhere.
That woman's having my baby. Get away from my wife!
But who's the real father?
You understand my crisis? Powerful stuff.
Tonight.
Coming up next from News Center 13.
The deadly AIDS virus hits home right here in Des Moines. Tonight, Ralph Robinson talks to a victim.
And a new program to keep Des Moines teenagers safe. I'm John Stone. I'll have a live eye report. And Diane Roberts with an ice cream that'll whet your appetite.
Plus, Mike's forecast and Jeff of the sports next from News Center 13.
It's Escort Week at Charles Gabus Ford. Stop in and drive away in the world's best-selling car for 6 years in a row, the Ford Escort. We've got over 50 models to choose from, with factory rebates up to $600. Factory interest rates as low as 2.9%, plus fantastic discounts. This four-door with air is going for only $64.99. But hurry, these prices are good only during Escort Week, going on now at Iowa's largest